Interaction with memory disease patients. A memory disease can change the relationship with one's surroundings and time. Patients' perception of themselves and their environment will change. They will also lose the ability to express themselves, making it sometimes difficult to be understood or heard. The basic pillars of interaction are respect, creating a feeling of safety, being fully attentive and being genuinely present. People with a memory disease are adults, so we must let them make decisions and be active. We must speak to adults simply, but not like they are simpletons. Listen to their opinions if you ask for one, and let them join in on a conversation when possible. At the onset of the disease, patients know where they are and who they are speaking to. They will sometimes make mistakes and forget things, and they will often notice this. They will have a fear of going mad, embarrassing themselves, and becoming a burden to others. They can become angry or reclusive because they are suffering. They will be on the defensive, make excuses for their mistakes, or blame them on others. In the progression of the disease, they get the past and the present confused, but will remember the olden days. The patients themselves won't notice their mistakes nor suffer from them. Social rules will lose all meaning. Patients can function spontaneously, driven by their feelings and conceptions. As the disease progresses more, speech will become less meaningful and movement will replace words. Patients will value a feeling of safety. They'll express their emotions and relive their memories through sound and movement. Touch and closeness will become more important. Closing off the outside world and withdrawal into sense memories are also part of this phase. As the disease progresses, feelings will not disappear, only expressing them will become more difficult. Patients will try to get through difficult situations and adjust to them. They will try to improve with coping and try to get other needs and wishes fulfilled. From an outsider's point of view, problematic behavior is a consequence of the decline in logical thought and the ability to interact. In fostering communication, you should discuss things that are happening in the here and now and not expect the short-term memory of patients to be working. Instead, talk about the food you are feeding them, for example. We should use recollections to foster a dialogue on an equal footing and optimize wordless communication with touch, gestures, and facial expressions. Communication with patients goes best when you speak normally and calmly, use familiar words, and avoid complicated sentence structures. You should say, ask, or offer something one at a time, and then give the patient time to respond. If there is no response, ask again. Avoid using negative words. Use a positive tone when giving instructions, such as, "Why don't you come with me?" or "Come, let's go now." Avoid unnecessary questions and remember to look them in the eye. You should use their names often and be attentive by touching their hand, for example. Remember the importance of body language. Illustrate your words by showing what you mean. Try to minimize any unnecessary distractions in their surroundings. Try and figure out what the patient would like to talk about. We should not argue or object to anything. Give support and encouragement when possible. Don't ask them to do the impossible. Take note of what they can do, as observing their capacity to do things is especially important. Composure and patience, taking parity into consideration, and being present all makes interacting with patients easier. Between the 1960s and the 1980s, social worker Naomi Feil, while working with the elderly, developed the validation method. Feil wrote that the elderly know what is happening to them as the memory deteriorates. To endure their loss, it is easiest for them to return to and start living in the past. Prior to this, she attempted to work with memory disorders under reality therapy. She stopped working with this method as soon as she felt it was unrealistic. Validation is the acknowledgement of feelings and the use of touch, sound, and look as a foundation of security. Therefore, we should empathetically tune ourselves into the inside world of the elderly with a memory disorder and recognize their feelings. This method has come into Finnish culture under the name of tunteva. One Finnish educator in validation is the late Satu Sipola. She believed that patients need a person who has understanding eyes, one who speaks like a child but is an adult. We cannot embarrass patients. We cannot ask them if they remember. At the end of the day, all the patient need is to feel safe and loved and to express themselves. Possible difficulties in interacting with patients can come from problematic information processing, physical problems, or inappropriate medication. For instance, patients can rarely describe their pain. An environment that is restless, noisy, and confusing in appearance, as well as an atmosphere with mixed signals or one's low energy, can lead to problems when facing patients. Body language is important. And don't forget to have eye contact, to focus on listening, to have a strong yet relaxed demeanor, to look and act like you're involved, to smile, and to have empathy in the conversation. Thank you.